Marlon Vera, better known as Chito Vera, getting ready to take on Jose Aldo this weekend, was talking about Sugar Sean O'Malley. And he said to Sugar Sean O'Malley, "You are a bitch forever." And it was the forever part that made me pop for the line. I mean, that's a long time. That's a long time to be a bitch, right? Like, there's nothing you can do that's redeemable where you why is it gotta be forever? What, he can't ever change his mind? He's just stuck in this weird purgatory of having to be a bitch? So that was an interesting line. All right. I think I'm giving credit to Chito for the line. I think I liked it. I just don't know why it has to be forever. Thought I'd bring that to your attention. Also made me take a little closer look at this fight. Chito Vera versus Jose Aldo stylistically is interesting. I mean, that's going to be a good action-packed match, but you also have, like, storylines matter. Chito Vera, in large part, has been this incredible story because he stubbed his toe in the UFC early, and then he goes on a run where he gets brought in against Sugar Sean, where that run is to come to an abrupt halt by all those involved, from the bettors to the viewers, to the pundits. I mean, that's just the way that was going to go. Well, Vera had other plans. And you'll recall that night. That night has pissed Vera off more than anybody else involved, including Sugar Sean. Sugar Sean was a heavy favorite. It was a good close battle. Sugar Sean hurt his ankle somewhere within that match, and therefore Vera didn't get his credit. Because the match went down based on the ankle as opposed to what a good and close contest this was before. I don't blame Vera for being irritated that people didn't want to give him his due. I don't blame him for that. It is the way that goes. You guys remember the first fight, Anderson Silva versus Chris Weidman, by example? When Anderson Silva goes down, but he was doing some level of showboating when Weidman caught him, put him down. And that was always the story after that fight. Well, sure, Weidman beat him, but Anderson wasn't, he wasn't taking that serious. Negating the 7.5 minutes that had gone on prior, every single one of those minutes won by Chris Weidman. But because the very end looked like something different when you replayed it on video, that's what you left with. I share that because Vera fair and square beat Sean. Did the ankle thing happen? Yes, it happened. That was part of the story. But Vera is more upset about this fight and has attacked Sean harder and more often than Sean has ever done to Vera or to redeem or explain his own side of things. It's just been one of these things. And I feel as though we're in this changing time because Vera, whether he got his full due or not, definitely got his due. He definitely got a bounce. I mean, now he's going to find himself in there on ESPN with the former champion of the world, future Hall of Famer in Jose Aldo. I mean, he is reaping some rewards for that victory, whether he fully understands that or not. Now, I bring that to you because what would happen with Jose Aldo with a defeat? Right? It's that tough question. You got one of your heroes. You grew up following the guy. 11, 12, 13, 16 years Jose Aldo's been around whipping people. It was 11 years the night that he went down to Conor McGregor. 11 years undefeated. Okay, take that into perspective. And how many years ago was that? That was at least 4 years ago, wasn't it? So 15 years of Jose Aldo in some capacity beating people up. I mean, it's one of those things where there's not a lot of room for error, particularly at the age that he's at and with the opportunities he's already been afforded. The UFC is very proud to hang their hat on the idea we only have champions or future champions. Once you prove you are no longer a contender, you no longer fight here. That is a broad stroke. I get that not everything falls into that, but if you do take that in mind, there would not be a matter of wanting to pay your dues or pay your respects to Jose Aldo and his long career and make sure that eventually you get him that main event or that feature bout or that title bout. It already happened. It already happened. So if he cannot climb his way up or at least give the perception they're up, what do you do with Jose Aldo? Well, those are very harsh words. We're going to cut Jose Aldo. Oh, terrible. That's blasphemy. But that same dialogue was here 5 days ago. It just happened to pertain to Junior Dos Santos. What's going to happen if Junior fails? I don't know the answer to that. I'm just aware that this phenomenon is here, and I'm also aware of the phenomenon of the way that the sport works. You break into the organization. You got two options. Bellator and UFC, you break in. Then you find your way to what's called the main card, which means your work is going to be shown on TV. That's all it means. You then can work into a co-main or a main event spot. They're going to have built-in mechanisms known as PR. You're going to get certain media opportunities just because you're a co-main or main event spot. So they're very coveted and they're very fought after and they're very sought after, but this is the life. Break in, make it to TV, make it to the top of the card. The life then goes in reverse. You go from the main event to the co-main event to somewhere on the card to you are no longer part of this sport. That's the way it works. It's cutthroat. Sounds terrible as I say it. I'm just pointing out for you so that you understand. Because as it would pertain to Junior Dos Santos, who is as good of a heavyweight fighter as you're ever going to come across, the fact that he broke in, went to TV, went to the main event, went all the way to the title, and has now worked himself down and was the opening bout of the night tells us not great news. I do not imagine with my greatest creativity a scenario, and I think you would see me with this, where Junior Dos Santos, a future Hall of Famer and former heavyweight champion of the world, is on an undercard. Would you agree with me? Because if he's not on an undercard and his last spot was a loss in the opening bout of the night, there's nowhere else to go. I think you guys will remember, but the night that BJ Penn took on Ryan Hall, which represents BJ's last fight, but it was like the third fight of the night, and it was weird. I mean, it felt weird, even when he came out for weigh-ins. The fact that there was no media around it, the fact that the main card is still 4 matches away, and here's BJ Penn. It was just one of these things. I don't begrudge or tease BJ for that. That's not a slightest what I'm saying. But it's one of these things where you got a very high dollar guy who's now going to open with other guys that don't come close to that level of paycheck, right? With the paycheck comes your placement on the card in large part, again, a broad stroke. But it's one of these things where you go, what are we doing here? What are we doing here and why are we here? If this is a redemption story and it's not worth telling enough to put on television, then it doesn't sound like it's worth doing. So there's a favor being invoked. Get it? I'm all for favors. What do you do, though? I don't know what the answer is going to be with Junior Dos Santos, though I have a guess. I don't know what the answer would be for Jose Aldo, though I do have a guess. So it's one of these things that if you're sitting back and you're going to enjoy it, and I don't say this to be anticlimactic to you, by the way. I feel that if you adhere to the message I'm giving you, you are likely to be more interested in this match. I think that you would be more interested in Jose Aldo, a living legend, one of your heroes, one of your favorite fighters that you grew up on. This might be his last time. It could be his last time. Bellator released 30 guys 1 month ago. UFC is releasing 60 guys in the next 2 weeks. Starting with Yoel Romero, which is very relevant. Very relevant that the releases are not a commentary on the athlete's abilities. The guys Bellator released and the UFC, and I'll use Romero, are studs. No commentary at all on their skill set. A full commentary on what is the plan and what is the vision and where do we go from here. It's a very important thing to make sure you tell your story. Very important. Ciryl Gane just did the opposite. He came out and he talked about, I'm here to do my job. And he then waited on that fact by saying his job was to not talk or call people out or build any level of interest. It was to throw punches and kicks inside of the cage under the unified rules, under the unified time limit. He could not be more wrong. The class is heavy. The venue is yet to be determined. The opponent is unknown. The rules are unified. The job is building interest. I don't say this to pick on Gane. I say this to use what Gane said because he was sincere when he said it. And he's upside down, backwards, inside out, and any other negative adage you could possibly give. Do not copy or listen to Gane. Do not run your career that way. Particularly when 90 athletes from the world's 2 most and only important organizations are going to be released in the first quarter. You must have a story to tell. I brought this entire diatribe to you talking about Chito Vera. But Chito Vera, who's getting ready to fight Jose Aldo, hadn't said Jose Aldo's name once. He's talking about Sugar Sean. He's talking about a rematch with Sugar Sean. And while you think he might be having his eye off the ball in the task at hand, what Chito Vera is successfully doing from a chess player's standpoint is making sure he has a job to come to tomorrow. He already has Aldo. He already has a contract signed. Most important thing in this job and all of yours isn't just the work you do today. Isn't that you showed up on time and left late. It's that you have a job to come back to tomorrow. Single most important thing, it doesn't go away in this business. As I'm watching Chito Vera manipulate the media as a way of building Jose Aldo, he's building what's next for him. How do you release Chito Vera? Let's say everything goes bad. You're going to cut 60 guys. Chito Vera just stubbed his toe. Let's release him. How do you release him when he's got a story that's already out there, which is a rematch with Sugar Sean? Now, Chito would not be one of those guys, by the way, up for release, but you still see my point. This is the job. Chito is currently doing his job. If you juxtapose that against what Cyril Gahn came out and said, which is, I'm just going to do my... You see the problem? My goal was not to sit down here today and slap Gahn around. But there is a very important message that is going to bite Gahn in the ass, and it will bite all of you in the ass if you listen to him. Your job is to have other people interested in watching you go to work. It's a very unique business, and it's a very unique industry. That's the job. Hard stop. But you'll never run out of guys who want to be paid because they were Abu Dhabi champion, or who want to be paid because they were an NCAA All-American, or who want to be paid because they came through the LFA and they were the champion when they came over. You're never going to run out of guys that want to read you their resume and then attempt to get you to draw a bridge from said resume to said commas and zeros on a paycheck. It doesn't work that way. Did you succeed at your job in making people interested in you do your job? Everybody can be so upset at the Paul brothers. Between the two of them, I don't need more than one hand to tell you how many times they've ever been in the ring. But they are also headlines each day on TMZ. They're also main events or co-main events. They also are making the most money. I don't bring that to you to tell you you need to go out there and act like a doofus to get money. That's not the message. The message is just the point that if you can make people interested in watching what you're doing, you're going to get X amount, which is going to be a lot better than this big, pretty resume and you swearing up and down that you got trophies and medals on your mantle at home. Nobody cares. Nobody has ever cared. You have a story. That's what promotion is. Promotion is not billboards and countdown shows and your face on magazine covers. It's not being a marquee or being in a main event. Promotion is one thing, which is storytelling. What is the story you have to tell, and how well can you tell the story? A big fight has a big story that was told well. The end. Not a guy with a dangerous jab that follows with the left and then digs down to the body. No one gives a damn at all. And why this should be blatantly clear, and why I have to raise my voice and circle back to this same damn topic every 3 months as a reminder, the Paul brothers are showing you it right in front of your face, and you can get upset and get your feelings hurt and call them YouTubers and blah, blah, but you can say anything you want. If they're bringing in attention and you're not, they win and you lose.
Uncle Jill, there's no bad guy like Uncle Jill. Never lost, not even around. Undefeated, undisputed. Oh yeah, here comes the bad guy. Uncle Jill, there's no bad